एवरीवन, वेलकम टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल द सोलफुल डायरी। आज के वीडियो में हम बात करेंगे 7 समर्स के बारे में। इससे पहले हमने कुली, अनटचेबल और द लालू ट्रायलॉजी डिस्कस की है, जिन सभी वीडियो का लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में है। चलिए आज शुरू करते हैं आज की वीडियो। डिस्कस करते हैं इसके समरी। This book is a charming recollection of the first 7 years of the author's life, lived in army barracks in various North Indian cantonment towns in pre-independence India. Anand names his protagonist Christian, but in every other sense, the character is modeled on himself, and the characters in the book are frank representations of his own family and friends. The book is structured as a series of vignettes from the author's life, describing incidents and experiences that shaped him as a boy. These are further divided into two sections: the road and the river. The road represents the journey and adventures the boy is dreaming of experiencing. At the very beginning of the book, a young Christian even ventures across one, an early indication of the curiosity that will characterize him as he grows older. If the route is about the yearning for adventure and excitement, a breathless wait for life itself to begin. The river marks Anand's flow through life as he begins this long awaited journey. This section marks several changes in the young Christian, his growing awareness of himself and his surrounding, and his gradual disillusionment with several of the other people and places he has idolized. He begins school, but his love for learning is dulled by the harsh treatment meted out to him by his teachers, and later, as he begins to excel at work, his classmates, as well as the tremors of the independence movement, make their presence felt in the barracks. Christian's father begins to vent his fears and anger on his children, eroding Christian's hero worship of him. At that juncture, Christian also begins to bond more deeply with his mother, whose nationalistic views are at variance with those of her husband. This relationship is clearly the core of Christian's childhood. It shapes his opinions and even his relations with everyone else around him. The portraits the author draws of his family are not always flattering, yet his love for the people most important to him is clearly evident. He does not spare himself either. Christian is portrayed as jealous, needy for attention, and capable of spite and manipulation. He is fearless and impudent, also insatiably curious, academically bright, and eager to show off his knowledge, a fact that wins him adult affection, but also the spite of his friends and brothers. And he is no innocent. At the age of 4 and 5, he is already aware of the sensuous charms of physical contact with his female relatives. The author skillfully recreates the heat and dust of a small town India, the petty squabbles and small pleasures of his childhood in the barracks. The book also deftly reveals the acute notions of caste and prejudices between communities that divided people then and still do now. Christian is warned against playing with lower caste boys or eating in his Muslim friend's house, even though his own family is neither vegetarian nor highborn and his mother is a loyal follower of the Aga Khan. Most poignant are the scenes revealing prevailing sentiment against the so-called untouchables, in particular one where Baka, a sepoy boy, assists a seriously injured Christian only to be berated for polluting the boy with his touch. Incidentally, Baka is also the name of the protagonist of Anand's famous novel Untouchable, which suggests that this boy from Anand's childhood may well have influenced that book. Anand has been credited with being among the first Indian writers to present a child's view of the world, but I felt that this was not a child's view so much as that of an adult looking back of his childhood. The reader is not always allowed to merely view and understand an incident seen by Christian, but rather have it filtered through the writer's own analysis of it, something I found quite dreary at times. Is Christian Chandra, the central protagonist, a sensitive child who observes the world around him, is often lonely due to small physical stature. Sundari Ishwari Kaur, Christian's mother, portrayed as a pivotal influence in his life. Premchand Lalchand, Christian's father, who serves as a coppersmith in the British Indian Army, and Devaki, A relative remembered for her distinct sweet scent, described as milk and honey. British Sahibs, military officers and their families who represent the colonial authority and create the backdrop of the cantonment life. Childhood trends, various peers in the military cantonment, including an early version of characters who reflect the untouchable figures found in other Anand works. Themes: the nuisance reality of childhood. Anand challenges the romanticized notion of childhood as a golden time, portraying it instead as a period marked by both innocent joy and long patches of loneliness, fear, and confusion. The child's world is a blend of intense curiosity, emotional security, and vivid fantasy, creating an early consciousness. Search for identity and freedom. The protagonist, Christian Chandra, is depicted as a rebel boy struggling against oppressive educational, traditional, and parental forces. His narrative is a journey of self discovery where he questions social conventions, death, and the meaning of life, family conflicts, and cultural tension. The novel highlights the tension between Christian's traditional mother, who accepts karma and caste prejudices, and his more worldly yet colonial submissive father. These familial dynamics create a conflict ridden environment that shapes the child's sensibilities. Sociological archive of early 20th century India. The novel documents the impact of British colonialism, feudalism, and caste based social hierarchies on an average Indian child's upbringing. It captures the social, economic, and political life during that period, including significant events like the Delhi Darbar. The burden of memory, written from the memory after the original manuscript was lost, the novel heavily emphasizes the impact of past events on present identity. The seven summers represent a half unconscious and half conscious childhood, highlighting how early experiences create lasting psychological imprints. Tips: the bliss and wonder of childhood. A central motive is the exploration of childhood as a time of sensory awakening and curiosity. Anand vividly depicts the bliss and wonder of early life, contrasted with the inevitable onset of pain and awareness. Education and discipline. Education is a recurring theme, often portrayed through the lens of rigid and sometimes cruel school environment. The motive of the cruel master with a cane represents the authoritative and often repressive nature of formal schooling in colonial India. Maternal influence and folk tradition. The protagonist's mother, Ishwar Kaur, serves as a vital motive of traditional wisdom. Her storytelling, drawing from epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, acts as a moral and cultural foundation. The young Christian. The military cantonment. Growing up in a Punjab military cantonment provides a distinct social motive. This setting highlights the hierarchies of the British Indian Army and the blending of Indian and British cultures during the early 20th century. Class and caste consciousness. Even in his earliest years, the protagonist encounters the rigid structures of Indian society. The novel subtly introduces motives of social inequality and the underlog themes that Anand would explore more aggressively in works like Untouchable. Idyllic nature versus urban rigidity. Following a Rousseau philosophy, Anand often uses the hills and village landscape of Dusk as motifs of true organic education, contrasting them with the restrictive atmosphere of the classroom. The road. As a threshold, the road running by the house acts as a major symbol of the first obstacles and boundaries the child must cross, representing the transition from the safety of home to the wider, often harsh world. The Sahib in khaki, a pink man in khaki clothes who passes on a bicycle, symbolizes the fearsome and foreign presence of the British authorities who are separate from Indian life yet impose themselves upon it. The coronation darbar, the British Raj, the young protagonist is smuggled into the 1911 coronation darbar in Delhi, wrapped in a blanket to witness this spectacle. It acts as a powerful symbol of the pomp, power, and artificiality of the British colonial government. The outcast colony. While more prominent in Untouchable, the depiction of living spaces, mud-walled houses, and strict cantonment boundaries in Seven Summers highlights the social inequality and rigid segregation of Indian society. Moshe and Mulsari flowers, the smells of motia and mulberry flowers represent the comforting sensory memories of the child's home life, often associated with tender moments with his mother or aunt. The silhouette of the boy, often pictured on the cover of the book, the silhouette of a boy precariously balanced with arms reaching towards the sky, symbolizes the joy, struggle, isolation, and resilience of Krishnan's upbringing. आज की वीडियो आपको पसंद है कैसी लगे हमें कमेंट करके बताएं अगर कोई डाउट्स या सजेशंस है तो वो भी आप कमेंट सेक्शन में ड्रॉप कर सकते हैं अगर वीडियो अच्छी लगी हो तो लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब टू माय चैनल मिलते हैं कल एक और इन्फॉर्मेटिव वीडियो के साथ शाम 4 बजे टिल देन कीप वॉचिंग एंड कीप सपोर्टिंग द सोलफुल डायरी थैंक यू